Have you ever felt torn between how you find happiness in your different roles, say in your relationship versus as a parent versus, or maybe as a child of a parent, or in your personal life? If so, you are not alone. You're not the only person struggling with these things. My name is Gabby, and here at Be the Hero Academy, my role is to help you be the hero of your story. And that's why today in this video, we're going to be sharing a sneak peek into our live stream video that me and Robyn, my co-host, shared in a recent live stream replay just recently inside our academy called Be the Hero Academy. Now, Be the Hero Academy, if you don't already know, it's a free community that you can access right now. If you don't know how to join, you can click the link down below and you can get the link to access our free community. Inside our free community, we give you the tips, tools, and strategies to break free of past patterns and become the best version of yourself so that you can experience more joy, connection with the people you care about in your life, inner peace, and purpose, okay? And so in Be the Hero Academy, we go live every single day, totally free. In this recent replay, in this recent live stream that I co-hosted with Robyn inside Be the Hero Academy, we dove deep into how a framework that you could use on how to find happiness in all of these different roles that you play in your life. And as a sneak peek, we're sharing that video with you here. So this chat that we're going to share with you in a second here is all about embracing your masculine and feminine energies in order to find your lasting peace and fulfillment and happiness. As a precursor to those tips that we're going to be sharing about embracing your masculine and feminine energies and why it's so important, we're bringing in a recent controversial subject that we shared on our other social media account called Nomads with a Purpose. Nomads with a Purpose is our family brand that we share at on Instagram. And we recently shared this new kind of cutting edge, but also controversial opinion that we have about women embracing their masculine energy, especially when they have kids and they're trying to lead families. We got quite a bit of hate about this. Some people saying that we're emasculating my dad and my mom's husband, and other people saying like, I don't understand, this doesn't make any sense. And so we're sharing our thoughts on those hate comments in this video, and of course why we believe what we believe, why we think that you too should embrace both your masculine and feminine energies. It's all coming up in this next video. And again, you can check out the full video inside Be the Hero Academy to see the full breakdown of everything we have to share about this and how you can embrace your masculine and feminine energies too.
So I've been triggering people on Instagram. I do this often, and it's not to be mean, but sometimes as an 8, actually, I've been saying it with a lot of kindness and compassion, but like sometimes as an 8, it's just like blunt, straight to the point. This is the problem, okay? It's kind of like, use the analogy that sometimes you blow a flat and you're just like, I have a flat tire. Like, this is the problem. Let's not try to butter it up and say like, well, maybe that's like a low tire pressure, or maybe there's like a problem with my axle. It's like Abraham Hicks would just be like, get a flat tire. So sometimes I just call it like it is. And there's like 3 themes I've been talking about on Instagram that have been triggering people. And so one of them was a little simpler, but like, don't let your kids' sports define your family values, in the sense that like, hey, a lot of times we did it for a lot of years. Gabby played competitive soccer and competitive gymnastics, and our weekends were monopolized by it. And only because I went to the other extreme of not doing that. I mean, we still do a sport every day. I believe in sports. It's just when your life has to revolve around that schedule and you don't get this time of free flow to, I mean, even for us, if we hike every day or climb, we get to do it on our schedule. We're never in a rush. So we're never triggering beta to get to our hike.
Right. And I even think that you're not, we want to do this hike this weekend, but we are not set in a schedule and we have to work our entire life around it. We might, well, we can cancel the hike, or we can move it to tomorrow. We can do this, we can do that.
We let it motivate our travels,
yes,
but we don't let it constrict them.
Yeah. And like, to elaborate on why I think it ends up influencing is because how many people we interact with, how many of them say like, well, I can't do this thing I want to do because I have to do this thing instead. So you're motivated by have tos and shoulds instead of being able to sit in boredom long enough to know what you want, because That's sometimes what it takes for people to transition from like the should and have to life and the life I want. There's like this gap in the middle because you have to know what you want. You can't know what you want when you're constantly in a perpetual state of I gotta be here, I gotta do this. Oh, this weekend we're filled. I have to be at this soccer tournament. I have to do this baseball game or whatever it is.
And the sad part is that your kids are never going to learn that if they're always on a schedule. Hey, you got to get to school. Hey, you got to like go take a shower, clean your room, brush your hair, do this. Okay, now they're at school and you need to, turn in this paper and do. And now you're at sports and everything is telling that child, don't think for yourself. If we're not providing our kids space for contemplation, curiosity, reflection, they are going to grow up with a lack of identity. They're going to think their identity is wrapped up in their job, their spouse, their maybe their sports if they become a professional athlete, whatever it is, they're wrapped up in the extrinsic. And so we really have to ask ourselves, I think if you're here and be the hero, you're already asking yourself, like, what is a good life? What is the meaning of life? What does it look like to actually be a creator? Because if you have shoulds, coulds, have tos, doesn't that kind of make you a victim to your schedule? Like the whole point is to not be a victim to anything, to be so okay with the void of aloneness, the void of possibility, of that you're more spirit than body. And so
if anything, you're really saying, how are you going to teach your kids that? And it's not that really that they are not their identity, that they are there's a sense of self deeper than their identities. But going back to the triggers, so that was one of the triggers. We were talking about this. And of course, like social media, we know that like we're going to put out one piece of content. And of course, we're not going to be able to communicate the big picture in a 1.5 minute reel. But the second and third thing, was it? That triggered people.
The second one was about taking leadership. When we first started traveling, my husband was not like, yeah, let's go do this thing. He was, because he had the same generational self-worth wound that we're all working through, his identity was wrapped up in who he was married to. Well, this is my wife. So of course, if she says, I want to go travel, I'm going to say, yes, dear, because I fear her leaving me. And so I'm just going to go with the flow and I'm going to put on this appearance like, yeah, sure, I'm here. But I knew differently. There were a lot of times when he wasn't really there, that he was very scared and that he was angry about our lifestyle. And so there was this point when I couldn't prove. Right now in the rearview mirror, I can go like 9 years of doing this lifestyle. I can tell you all the great things that came from it. But when I was starting, I didn't know. I just knew that there had to be more. I felt in my soul there was more to life than this just grind and showing up. And maybe we had dipped our toes in a few things through homeschooling. And this trigger was like, I had to take the lead. I just knew in my soul, like, this is not a good life. Let's just go see it. There's no promises, guarantees. Let's go see what's on this other. So I took this leadership role. And a lot of times when we travel, like I'd be like, hey, Victor, like if I want to go somewhere, I tow. I hitch up the RV. If I want to be able to do these things, I can't say, hey, I want this and I expect you to do it for me. I was always okay with the fact that like, I need to know, so I'm willing to carry the burden. I used to even talk about it with Tati, because when we first started hiking, she was only 4, and I would say it in posts all the time, like, you have to be willing to carry the weight and carry the burden of your child. I would backpack. I would carry her on my back for hours because I wanted to hike. Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't want her to limit me, so I'm like, it's the only way. And
yeah, and then it got to be like, I don't know, she was like, then 6, and it was like, well, we're not going to carry you anymore, but we have to be willing to compromise in terms of like
picking
going slower, picking hikes, maybe not picking 2 12-milers back-to-back days. You're like, you're going to do this hike this day, but I'm going to let you, then you get to rest for a week and that sort of thing. But I think this is, so we've been talking about that a lot on social media, last like 2 or 3 posts. And it's funny because in my head, I've been sharing somewhat in the captions as well. Like there's this huge movement on social media to like
and I think part of it is from spiritual communities, and some of them are just from like non-spiritual, maybe more Christian communities or conservative communities. And it's like we have to embrace our essentially traditional gender roles. It's a little bit more of the conservative way of phrasing it, but like the spiritual people will be like, you have to embrace your divine feminine and your sacred masculine or whatever. And there's a big discussion, especially on the dating side of things, which is where I see things, about like, you're not going to attract a masculine man unless you are in your feminine. And so this is weird, and I don't disagree with what these people are saying, right? It totally makes sense that like you have men are becoming more feminized and women are becoming more masculine. But the problem is that it's a toxic flip, okay? Because here's the thing, at the root of it, you have both in you. You have a masculine and you have a feminine energy. That is inherent in nature of reality. That is everything in the world has a masculine and a feminine nature that you can choose to embrace at any point in time. And it's really important that you digest that before understanding this. Because if you don't get that, then you're not going to understand why it is that my mom is able to embrace her masculine and just take leadership and ownership over her life, because you have both. And if you don't consciously realize that, you just become, by default mode, women become masculine and they're just self-protecting themselves. And then men become feminized, where they want to be taken care of. And so what you have to realize is like, where in my life am I, and I shared this in a YouTube video about the law of gender, but where in my life am I wanting to be feminine and I'm not giving myself permission to be? And where in my life could I use becoming more masculine to propel myself forward to where I want to be? That's the essence of where it comes back into this side of relationships is like, yes, it's like, great. Women generally do want to have spaces in their life where they get to be feminine. And after, I'm sure, 20 something years of marriage, there are these small moments where getting a massage lets you be and you're feminine.
There's a lot of
places.
Yeah, that I get to be feminine, I think.
But we forget that you actually have to choose to embrace your other energy. You have the ability to be the leader of your own life. And I think so many times we outsource someone telling us what to do. Now, fortunately, being here at Be the Hero Academy, we're trying to provide you some element of grounding of what direction to head. But at the end of the day, you have to take ownership over, am I committed to being the creator of my own life? Am I committed to taking really orders from no one else except for myself? And that's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, so the simple way that I think I at least have experienced taking ownership or leadership and what I see other people mistakes making. So it starts with going first, I have a clear vision of what a good life is to me. I want to experience things without destroying things. So I want to go out into the world with curiosity and gain more insight. I want to know what this hike is. I want to go to this travel spot. But you know what? I don't want to do it to the extent that I'm destroying. So there's a willingness to put myself out there while simultaneously micro goals, micro ambitions. Now, if I was, say, an Enneagram 9, I might fall asleep to those. I might have them, but tell myself, well, I need to be more feminine, and so I should be passive and I shouldn't speak my truth. Or maybe if I was a 1, I might have this moral code of, well, what will society think of me? And I might fall asleep to those. Or if I was an Enneagram 6, I might let projection of fear and harm say, well, I do want this thing, but there's this potential of risk, so I should block it and not take any of the action. That's what I'm talking about, that there's every one of us, men and women, want things. We have desires, we have goals, ambitions. We have to take action towards those things and be disciplined. That's what stepping into leadership is. Knowing that you have wants, desires, ambitions, and taking action towards them without telling yourself a story that, oh, well, you're a bad person because you're not putting everyone else's needs, or you're not listening to your ego defense and seeing these risks, or what society's going to say. That's really the root of what we're getting to. I'm extremely compassionate. what I found is that in order to balance the two in masculine and feminine in this, so I might have these desires, and early on with my kids, I'd come to them and go like, hey, I kind of want to do this thing. Do you want to do this? Can we try? It's like making the request. Can we try? I'd say to my husband too, often through our travels, like, hey, how can we compromise? What do you need? The problem is we're in a society that gets away with saying, I don't know. And I think that's the start of a downward spiral in a relationship. You can't say, I don't know, because you have to choose. That's, again, stepping into divine masculine or sacred masculine, whichever it is, that you have to take choices. This whole passive thing where we just like sit back, fall asleep to our desires, you know what that's going to come out as? Anger, resentment. You know that you're falling asleep to your masculine if you tend to default to anger at some point. Maybe it's daily, maybe it's not monthly, maybe you don't, you're not maybe blowing up all the time, but if you have these blow ups, that's a reminder that you fell asleep to this masculine energy because of your program.
Yeah. I want to elaborate on the part about I don't know there. Because, so we've been given permission, or we think that it's okay to say, I don't know. Well, here's the psychological reason why you're saying, I don't know. You say, I don't know what, nobody expects everyone to know. Do I? If I had a conversation with you, would I expect you to just know the truth about reality? No, we're having a conversation that we're relating to one another in a relationship.
I would guess you would expect me to be able to at least express how I feel.
Exactly. So you should know how you think and feel. Now, the problem is a lot of us we don't even know how to express what we think or feel, because that requires metacognition. So, and you know what the simplest little habit that you can do to practice metacognition is to practice meditation where you observe your thoughts. Now, I don't want you to meditate and just try to sit there and try to wait for the timer to go off. You have to actually sit in meditation and go, and I always love the metaphor of like, you have to watch your thoughts go by like a passing train, because that's how you're practicing metacognition. Like, what am I you're thinking, because you're inevitably going to think in meditation. You think, and you go, oh, that's interesting. I was just thinking about that. And that's how you kind of train your brain to practice metacognition. Over time, then eventually your life becomes a walking meditation where you can observe your thoughts and your feelings. But this is key, because if you can't notice your thoughts and feelings, that's when you in a conversation go, I don't know, because you're not pausing long enough to go, well, I think and feel this way. And now we counter. Now you have something to work with. So how does that make you think and feel in this conversation? And then, of course, the more advanced element of that would be now to say, I think and I feel and I expect. Because expectation is where we merge our present moment thinking and feeling with a future goal. Because the funny thing is, we all think, or when we work with people, a lot of people have trouble coming up with a future vision, a future desire, a clear picture of that target. And yet at the same time, their subconscious mind has a constant expectation. And an expectation is what you are assuming is going to happen in the future. So the only difference is that an expectation is subconscious and automatic, and a goal is intentional and predefined in advance. So if you're saying, I don't know, what you really are saying is that, wait, I need to pause for a sec to notice what I'm thinking and feeling. Obviously, you have to be in a relationship where you're in a mutual agreement that you're trying to have this personal growth in your relationship, because obviously if you are not in an equal parts there, then one person's gonna be like, what do you mean you need to stop and think and feel? We're trying to have growth here, and that's what has to happen. And the other
if you want to watch the entire video, I encourage you to join Be the Hero Academy for free. Links in the description down below, and watch the rest of this video where we give you the tools and strategies on how you can embrace your masculine and feminine energy and how to navigate other things that maybe trigger you in your life too. That's all from us. Thank you for joining and watching this sneak peek. Again, watch the whole video inside Be the Hero Academy and let us know what you think of this concept, of the things that we have shared in this video, in the comments down below. Do you feel like we reacted properly to those triggers? Do you feel like we reacted properly to those hate comments? Give us your opinion in the comments down below. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.